Brilliant, thank you and good afternoon. Do you hear me well? Thumbs up? Thank you. So Ondosis, we are here to create a game-changing technology for patients and how they take their medicines. So if we back up a little bit and we realize that the deeper understanding of biology leading to personalized medicine, the fact that digital has impacted a lot delivery of healthcare, the fact that patients are much more engaged into their own disease, and the fact that payers look to pay for outcomes. Despite all that, we do still deliver medicines the way we did in the 50s, namely capsules, pills and tablets. And one would argue that's because capsule, pills and tablets are God's gift to man. But we would argue they come with inherent drawbacks. Now for some diseases, where you really need to tweak and personalize your dose, flex it, adopt it, titrate it, capsules and pills is not a simple way for physicians to deal with that, nor patients. Pharma companies deal with that in terms of producing a multiple set of pills, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 milligrams. Still, this is tricky for patients. It's tricky for patients and, for instance, psychiatrists, neurologists in areas like epilepsy, in areas like ADHD, in areas like Parkinson. The second is, and we know that since before, that capsules and pills is not helping patients in terms of taking the medicine at the right time. Adherence is at best 50%, and the cost associated with that is huge. Thirdly, in some areas, normally in mental health and controlled substances, those medicines are used for non-medical use, leading to a lot of suffering and cost in society. And fourthly, regulators say that kids and elderly do not really get sufficiently treated by a normal capsule and pill. You need age-appropriate formulations. And those are the four things we want to deal with in a very simple handheld technology. Basically what we do is that we use granules or microparticles or pellets as already used in pharma for a long time, but instead of bolting them into a tablet or filling them into a capsule, we integrate them into a handheld, simple, intuitive device. And that way we can basically flex the dosing, we can connect it and bring digital health and health tech solutions into the medicine. We can personalize and make misuse and abuse more difficult, and we can find a way to deliver on a kilogram base a medicine which is much easier to swallow for patients. In practice, this device looks like this. It's a handheld unit. It has two parts to it. One which contains, in this case, 1 month of supply of medicines in the form of granules, and then a handheld control unit, connected, charged, which lasts for 2 years. Together, these two form a drug-device combination, prescribed as such, not different to an asthma inhaler or an insulin pen. And as a patient or as a physician, I can control dosing in a much more flexible and adaptable manner. I can also personalize it by PIN code if I would want to, or even a fingerprint sensor to make sure that only the certain patient gets the medicine. I can time a dose, I can program a titration scheme or a dosing schedule, be that in pain going from high to low, or be that in ADHD or epilepsy going from low to high as examples. The connectivity brings the opportunity to link this to external sensors, to log events, to block from overdosing by accident or by purpose. This will then form an infrastructure or a solution where you can have medicine, digital technologies, flexible dosing and external sensors play into what would be in the future more or less a closed loop disease management system for these kind of diseases. So that's what we're aiming for. The scalability of this is obviously quite big. This could go in basically any disease if you would wish it to, but we need to select. We're a small company, so right now we are going for 4 different areas. ADHD, for the reason of titration, for the reason of diagnosis as child, for the reason of diversion and abuse risk, and for the adherence dilemma with the symptomatology. We also go for epilepsy in children, for pain, and for immunosuppression post kidney transplants. These are big markets where titration is necessary, where adherence is absolutely critical. If we deep dive a little bit more into ADHD, these are the clear examples of why this would make sense in such a treatment of ADHD. A stimulant where you have up to 6-7 different doses to get to your target effect, where you have 1 out of 5 college kids misusing or abusing, and where you have 150,000 poisoning cases in the US the last 10 years, where you have pill swallowing difficulties because you're diagnosed in child age, and where you have by default, based on the symptomatology, problems with remembering, focusing, and following instructions. When we test this development with physicians, patients, and payers in the US, because our first program is going to be US focused, the feedback is overwhelming, both in terms of qualitative conversations and quant. 9 out of 10 patients would want to use this. 9 out of 10 doctors would want to prescribe it to as many as one third of their patients. So this really makes sense to bring into the market of ADHD, and this is what we are doing right now. When we asked people to rate this solution for ADHD, we got a rating of 5.3 on a scale 1 to 7. And to put that in perspective, the people doing that market research had seen in their history of market research one medicine coming into the market in the USA that scored higher. So 5.3 is a very strong benchmark predicting a potential great uptake. Now the business model for the company is obviously a tech platform white label provider. So we're building the technology. Our IP is in making those granules coming out in an exact fashion, from the first dose to the last dose, however you hold the device upside down, on a mountain or on the beach. That's our technology, that's our IP. And the business model over time will obviously be to out-license the technology to pharma, either as a life cycle management or for a new drug, in their portfolio. Be that the future oncology compound, the future schizophrenia compound that needs titration and where you really want to lock the medicine to a certain individual and follow adherence. But in order to control our own destiny and not having to be dependent on pharmas to make up their mind and deciding the pace, we have decided to invest ourselves in our own ADHD drug-device combination and bringing that to market. And we're well underway of developing the granules, which is a stimulant copying the most used ADHD medication in the US in laboratories in France. So we raised so far $7 million to bring this device into where it's now in verification and validation. It's going as a drug master file into the US FDA this summer, and we will also do PK studies on our granules. So that's where we are in terms of development. Competition-wise, there is a lot of people dealing with adherence, clever pill boxes, adherence reminders, and so on and so forth. But no one, as we understand it, actually delivers flexibility, individualization, the health tech benefits, and easy to swallow in one packaged, easy-to-use drug-device combination. Doctors are going to prescribe a treatment as they prescribe an asthma inhaler or an insulin pen. Patients are going to the pharmacy to get a treatment, and insurance companies are going to insure, a pharmacy benefit, a treatment. That design, we do believe, make us stand out in terms of competition. Where we are right now is that we're building our supply chain. We're gearing up for a Series A where we would want to raise $7.5 million in order to do the bioequivalence studies and to bring the device into low-scale GMP manufacturing. And with that in hand, we would be able to file a drug-device combination for FDA in the end of 2021 into a market which is valued today $8 billion, and where physicians say 1 out of 3 patients should have this technology for treatment of ADHD. So this is the reason why we're here. The company is founded 2017 as a spin-out from AstraZeneca, which is a fairly well-known pharmaceutical company. Shareholders today, besides AstraZeneca, 20%. We have private investors and angels, and we have Boston Consulting Group owning 5% of the company. And then myself as a co-founder with a history within AstraZeneca for 25 years. That's basically the investor base. And so far we're a small company. We're 4 people, but we employ like 15, 20 in terms of different various external sourcing for IP, for drug development, and for product development. So we are a small, nimble organization driving this. but still with a very experienced team, both from medtech, health tech, strategic consultancy, and pharma. Our ambition is to build a company. It's Sweden-born, yes, but we want to be a global player in this space. We will establish 20 partnerships with pharmaceutical companies as a tech provider for them, and we want to launch an ADHD therapeutic in the US 2022. So that's Ondosis for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your attention.